We all know that true happiness doesn't come from the things that we buy. But today, I'm flipping that idea on its head. I want to share with you 5 things that I've bought, things that you can buy today that have made me happier than I ever thought possible. If you're new here, my name is Shane. I'm a mechanical engineer and I just love helping people make their lives happier than they ever thought possible. When I was younger, my MP3 player was like an extension of my body. It came with me absolutely everywhere, and my carefully curated library was one of my most prized possessions. Fast forward to today, and Spotify is undeniably convenient. It gives us access to all the music in the world, and that's even music that we wouldn't have actually spent our hard-earned money on. So if Spotify is so great, why do these vinyl records make me happy? Because Spotify is just too easy. It's too easy to skip songs, to pick something that just plays in the background. And we've all been in that situation where you've been listening to something for an hour and you don't even know what's playing anymore. But with vinyl, you're invested. You have to pick which album you want to listen to. You have to sit down and listen to it only to get up in a few minutes' time to flip it over. It transforms music into something that you listen to passively, into something that you savor. And for me, these albums hold a deeper connection. They bring me back to different stages in my life and allow me to travel through time, making those memories come right flooding back. And taking the time to just slow down and appreciate those memories has absolutely made me happier. The second thing on my list is actually this. It's my first ever electric guitar. Now don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and play Wonderwall for you, but learning guitar is something that I've always wanted to do. And at the age of 34, I decided to stop wanting and start doing. But just like the vinyl records, the guitar really isn't the point. The point is that I've invested in me. Not in me for work or in me for my family or me for anybody else. It's just me for the sake of me. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's guitar or throwing pottery, learning to paint, or even changing the oil in your car. Sitting down to learn something new, something that you've always wanted to do, will leave you feeling more fulfilled, in control, and because of that, so much happier. Okay, this is going to be a little bit dark, but I promise you that it's important. Back in 2017, I came out of a long-term relationship that left me in a pretty dark place. Some days were good, but most of the time the days were pretty bad, and I felt like I was holding on for dear life, just hoping that good days would come again. Jump forward a few months later, in the summer of 2018, I signed up for an event called Tough Mudder. Now, if you've never heard of that before, it's essentially an adult obstacle course where you go out and get cold and mucky and damp with friends, all while running a 10 km obstacle course. About halfway around this course, we come up against this next obstacle, which happens to be sliding down this big massive pipe into a skip that's filled with ice. Now, this water is cold. I mean, it is absolutely freezing. And me, I wasn't the biggest fan of cold water, but I didn't really have a problem with it. I really liked the cold weather and I was quite a strong swimmer, so I climbed on up thinking nothing about it. But as soon as my feet hit that cold water, it was full-blown panic attack. Instantly, I started scrambling to try and get out, only to realize that actually the exit meant I had to go underneath the water to come back out the other side. And as soon as I was able to throw myself out of the skip, I did, only to find that my legs just refused to work and I just collapsed on the ground. Now, after a few minutes and a hug from a friend, thankfully I was okay, but it left me shook. And for the longest time after that, I was totally and utterly terrified of being in cold water. And this was despite a number of attempts to get into the sea to try and fight it off. But I very, very quickly realized that as soon as I would get up to my knees, the panic would set in, my heart rate would rise, and I would do everything I could to just get back out again. Then, about 18 months ago, I decided enough was enough. And as often as I could, I would try and get into the sea. Now, unfortunately, I live in the Midlands of Ireland, so there's no bodies of water around that is that cold. And so I was only able to do it a handful of times in the year. And because of that, I wasn't really cracking this nut. How I got over this problem was, for my birthday during the summer, I asked my wife to get me a cold plunge. And very, very quickly, I got into the habit of spending 2 minutes a day, generally 5, but if not more, days a week, getting into this cold plunge. Because it was the summer, it wasn't actually that cold, but it did still feel chilly. And as the months went on and we got closer and closer to winter, the temperature started getting lower and lower and lower. Then, just a few weeks ago in Ireland, we had an absolute cold snap, and I went out one morning and there was 10 millimeters of ice floating on top of this water. And that's when I realized I had broken my fear. Because I wasn't afraid to get in anymore. I was actually looking forward to and excited for the challenge. The fear of cold water that had controlled me for years was gone. And by spending that money, or well, spending my wife's money, I had gotten my power back. This is Claudia, my F750 GS. Now straight away, I know most of you either won't be able to or won't be bothered to go out and buy one today, but just like everything else on this list, it's not about Claudia. It's about adventure. It's a class of bike that's known as an adventure bike, so it's not just built for going on the road, but also going off-road and down trails, and so that has given me the ability to go out and explore the world around me, with not only with myself, but also with my wife too. Essentially what this bike has given me is memories. Adventure means different things to everybody, and for some of you it'll mean travelling the world and going to the likes of Bali and Thailand and Australia, but for others it will be taking a short drive just a few miles from your house to just get out into nature. Whatever it looks like, spending a little bit of money to get out and explore the world in a way that resonates with you is one of the biggest investments you can make in your own happiness. Last but not least, and it's YouTube. Now of course you can make YouTube videos without spending a penny, just by using your phone. But for me, I decided to invest in a new camera and lights and making this room look a way that I wanted it to look. I make YouTube videos to try and help as many people as possible create a life that is happier than they ever imagined. But a side effect of that is that I am flexing and developing my creative side. Whether this video gets 1 million views or 0, it doesn't matter. Every single video holds a piece of me, and by investing that time and that creativity, it allows me to learn more about myself. And the carryover that has into everyday life is undeniable. Now, making videos might not be your thing, but it's important to know what is. What creative outlet have you been putting off, and would spending a little bit of money on it give you that push to get started? Money might not buy happiness, but it can open the doors to the things that do. And if you do the work and get intentional about trying to figure out what those things are for you, well, you'll find your life feeling so much more fulfilled in no time. That's this week's video, folks. Have a great week. Peace.